The 729th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code MMA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Howdy ho, DeGenerinos. Welcome to episode 729 of the MMA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to Ozan Oslaner. Try to say his name right. Ozan Oslaner. A big plus 350 hit for Gumby Vreeland at the just completed Octagon 65. Yes, 65. So this goes up to him and to all you people who tailed Gumby. Hopefully that goes for most of you out there. I am one of your hosts, Tip Sport Game Changer Fox. I just finished watching the event that I sponsor, apparently, the Tip Sport Game Changer Octagon 65. Very fun event. I'm sure we'll probably talk a little bit about that. But as you see from the title of the episode, this is our continuation of our UFC futures. We got 5 weight classes left and 5 episodes this week, so it's going to work out just perfectly. It's almost like we planned it. So
nailed it.
Yeah, today is all about the lightweights, where I don't know how much fun lightweights are going to be, but we will make it fun. Let's bring in the man who I think he did good at. He hit an underdog at the very least, so that'll make up for some of his misses. It's the one and only Daniel Gumby Vreeland. Hello.
So it's hard to say whether or not I did well or not, because based on our breakdowns on the show, I did go 3-4 on Octagon, which is not great. But there's a 350 underdog in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the end of the day, that feels pretty good. And then on top of that, if you looked at any of the 3 fights that got sort of remade, because we had 2 different fights break up and become one fight, and we had 2 other fights appear out of thin air. If you were hanging out in the Discord or if you were checking out our YouTube, I predicted all 3 of the new ones correct, including Cecilia Bolander as an underdog. So, I was right around even money for the other fights. I think actually up 1 unit, if we're being completely honest, up to 41.5 on the year. Yeah, great. And hopefully a bunch more coming from Ryzen later in the week. So I was close to having a good night if some of those bounced our way. But if you got in on the Bolander underdog too, it was a really good night. So, bottom line is it was a really fun card. We predicted it would be fun. That Bolander versus Lucy Pudilova fight, somebody said it in the Discord, and I wish I wrote down who it was before so I could give him props. They said, it might have been Casey. Casey said, is that the best women's fight of the year? And I think he might be right. I think with 2 days to go before the new year, I think we got the best women's fight of the year. And it was a crazy title fight. Those 2 women went to war. So yeah, great event. Bottom line is you hit a 350 dog. You can't ever feel bad. So shout out Ozan Oslander.
Zemo Casey. It was Zemo Casey who said that.
Right on. I thought it was.
And of course, I fell asleep right before the Bolander fight, so I missed it. Of course,
you didn't watch the Bolander fight?
Oh, I'm gonna have to find it now.
Oh, I'm not kidding you. It's up. It's not quite Ioana Jędrzejczyk versus Weili Zhang, the one where Ioana had the boob on her head. You know the one I'm talking about. It's not quite that, but it's good. Both women bleeding. Pudilova exhausted at the end of the fight. It looked like your corner was basically carrying her out of the arena afterwards. A wild post-fight celebration that you might not have seen coming. It was emotional. There was crying. It had everything.
And most importantly, Gumby's top turtle jinx, which has been dead officially for years.
It's really dead now.
Really dead, because he had 3 people win belts that you interviewed. Well, so Kieta,
when I interviewed him, there were 2 people fighting for belts, both challengers.
Yeah.
And 1 other person on the prelims, and somehow all 3 of them won titles. That is a crazy run of luck. So yeah, we're gonna call that the end of the top turtle jinx.
Definitely. All right. It's not the end of the episode, obviously. We'll jump into it after I remind you. What am I reminding people about today? Our app, of course. It's right there on the screen, SGPN. Our app has all the picks, all the podcasts, all our giveaways, all our articles, all the good stuff is all in one place. And it's for free. The best part. Just type in SGPN in the App Store and you can grab our app. All right. If you haven't already. Hopefully you have. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing the lightweights. And Gumby, we both hit our pick. We had Islam Makhachev. Minus 300. We had him at.
Yeah. Big winners.
He's come way down. Interesting.
Well, I think for good reason.
So
do you not think for good reason?
Yeah, the division has firmed up a bit. I guess
it's not only firmed up a little bit. I just think the top 2, 3, 4 best challengers maybe are all guys who have wrestle or like good wrestlers, right? Like, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the names I'm talking about in a second, but like, you want the people who are at the tippity top to be good challengers. And when they are, that's going to drag the number down for the fave.
Yep. And that is, he dragged it down substantially. Now we have lots of fights already scheduled, including a title fight in this weight division.
That February?
Which maybe why it's, the odds come down a bit. Arman Zarukian is getting first crack at Islam Makhachev. That's actually in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, January 18th. UFC 311.
Oh, that's a January pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's the very first pay-per-view. So in Inglewood, that fight is happening. We also have a bunch of top contenders actually going down fighting on that card. It's a lot of top lightweights on that card. Renato Moicano, Benil Dariush, Grant Dawson, Carlos Diego Ferreira. That's all taking place on the same card, which is good. It's kind of smart when they line up all the top possible future contenders, line them all up on the same card. That's pretty much it. Then UFC Fight Night 250 in Riyadh. When is that? That is in February 1st. Rafael Fiziev versus Matthias Gamrot. So that's another, top. They're probably more than a fight away from a title shot, but
2 or 3.
Yeah, but still, another top fight. So very busy, and then there's a whole bunch of other fights I haven't even bothered mentioning. So busy division, lots of fighters in the division too. So it's not really surprising that there's a lot of fights scheduled. So, all right, you want to lay down the odds for the people?
Sure. Let me lay down the odds for you. A little odds graphic up on the screen. So as you mentioned, Islam Makhachev is still the favorite to retain his title. But that number went from negative 300. It's all the way down to negative 135. So almost even money on Makhachev to retain. You get the aforementioned challenger, Arman Tsarukyan, plus 500 right out the gate. Charles Oliveira is second. You get him at 6-1. You have a two-way tie for fourth and fifth. That's Max Holloway and Dan Hooker, both at 10-1. And then we got a three-way tie after that. That's Fiziev, Poirier, Conor McGregor.
We were just talking about him off there.
Man, 16-1 on those. Dude, if you bet Conor McGregor at 16-1, we got to have a talk. Hop in the Discord. I'm going to have a talk with you. We'll maybe do it through DMs so that you don't have to be embarrassed. But if you're thinking about betting Conor McGregor at 16-1, let's talk. And then the only other one under 50-1 is the aforementioned Renato Moicano, 20-1. So I'll kick it over to you here because now we've run down all of the odds. Now is when we like to start talking about our best bets. We usually start at the top with people who are kind of exciting. So tell me, you got $100. It's burning a hole in your pocket. What are you doing at lightweight?
It's not exciting, but it's Makhachev all day, obviously. Minus 135. Love the number. Well, obviously, I would prefer an A+ number, but love number. We're getting on him. I don't see any of the aforementioned names that you just went through that at this point can top him. So Makhachev is my pick.
I think Tsarukyan's a way better value.
You think he's going to beat him, though? What's that fight?
I think he's way better at 5-1. Like if you could tell me I could just have him in that fight at 5-1, I'm betting Tsarukyan every time.
Plus 310 for the fight.
Right. And so that's sort of my point, right? Is that like if you're gonna bet, if you're interested in betting Tsarukyan to beat him, which by the way, the first time they fought, ridiculously close, and Tsarukyan took that fight on like 4 or 5 days notice, right?
Yep.
And so like I already like Tsarukyan at plus 310. Really like him at 5-1. If you were gonna bet Makhachev at that price, you might as well take that $100, bet it on him there, and then roll whatever it is over in terms of winnings and bet him on his second fight, and you'll probably still come out with better than negative 135. Whereas like on Sarukian, you take this money, bet it here on him, you're going to wind up in a better place. So do I think?
But do you think he's going to win though? That's the key. Do you think he's going to win?
I'll be honest. This is the second fight of the year or second fight card of the year. I honestly haven't made a pick yet.
No.
I'm not convinced that Sarukian can't beat him. I think he's a better striker than Makhachev. How's that for a hot take? I think he's
Makhachev's improving though. That's the thing. He's surprising people, it seems, now with his striking.
Yeah, he's getting better on the feet, but is he better than Sarukian?
We'll find out, I guess.
I still kind of think
we'll
not. And I think Sarukian's grappling is good enough to know. So I'm going to say my best bet. I'm going to go Arman Sarukian. I'm going to say 5-1 Arman Sarukian title champion or title holder at the end of the year is my best play. So this is when I start prompting you to say things that make you uncomfortable. Unless you've got, we don't have an ad read yet, do we?
Yeah, I think we should, since we're going so fast here. This tell people, Gummy just took an underdog, technically. Underdog Fantasy will tell you about Underdog Pick'em is one of the biggest menus for all sports. You win up to 1,000 times with underdog streaks, 1,000 times your entry. Underdog is always making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems. NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and more. And you now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Gumby, do you have any plays for the people?
Sure, you're definitely not going to get this before Sunday night. We're recording fairly late. So let's kick it on over to Monday's action. I'm going to say take the higher than on Lauri Markkanen's points total. That's just because if you look at his last few games, he's been way over his season average for the last 5 games. His season average is only 19.7, but he's been over 20 for 5 games in a row. So let's take the higher than on Lauri Markkanen's points total.
Who's he playing tomorrow?
They're playing the Nuggets, if I'm not mistaken.
In Denver?
No, in Utah.
Okay. I guess it doesn't matter. Utah is a high elevation as well. All right, take Gumby's play. Sign up with our code MMASGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That would be underdogfantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. All right, you think you can make me uncomfortable now, do you? I have to pick what a mid shot.
Yeah, let's talk about the mid shots, because I would argue, and tell me I'm wrong about this, I actually think the mid-range picks in this division are worse than the long shots. Like if you want one of these top guys on the card, like if you want Makhachev, you want Sarukian, you want Oliveira, I'm here for any of those. Even Oliveira, I'm here for any of those. You want anybody between that and like 50-1, I think you're an idiot, basically. And then after 50-1, we get up to like the 100-1s. I think there's some real value. Again, not likely at 100-1 or 150-1 or 200-1, but at least ones that are like worth that play. I don't think there's a lot of mid-tier stuff that's good in this division. What do you think? What do you got? If you had to pick a mid-tier guy, what are you getting down on?
Man, these are not good. It would have been BSD a while ago, but he's I think he kind of hit his level. I don't
know. So I'm going to back you on that one. I actually think BSD is maybe the only mid-tier, because like, don't get me wrong, he did just lose to Dustin Poirier, right? Like that's his last fight. And he's, to my knowledge, not have anything booked.
I don't think so. No, well, actually, no, for sure not.
But at the end of the day, like he was beating him, right? Like he should have been winning that fight. So 50-1, I don't know.
Yep. Gamrot, maybe he's beaten Fiziev once. I know it was an injury, but he did beat him once. There's at least a path to a title shot there, but he probably would need 2 wins this year before he got a title shot. So that probably is not.
I was trying to convince myself Gamrot was a decent pick here too, and let me give you my pros and cons list that I drew up over here.
Oh wow, look at you!
Matches Gamrot. So con, he just lost a split decision.
Mm-hmm.
He lost a split decision to Dan Hooker, which, by the way, Dan Hooker at plus 10-1, not playable in any stretch of the imagination. Because while he might be at that number, he's got 2 recent wins that I don't think are wins. And that's my pro for Matthews Gamrot is I think he won that fight. I think you could have made an argument that he won that fight anyway. So we're talking about the con being he's coming off a loss, so he's going to have to win at least 2 in a row before he gets anywhere close to a title. The pro being like, I don't know, Dana White kind of treats those guys who should have won like they won, which we'll talk about at heavyweight, I'm sure. And then the other pro for him too, and this is maybe playing off of the fact that I said Arman Tsarukyan possibly wins. He does have a win over Arman Tsarukyan.
Yep.
Like, I think his path to the title, like if you're trying to draw up, like, why would I bet Matthews Gamrot at 50-1? The answer has to be that you think Arman Tsarukyan is going to beat Islam Makhachev. It has to be. Because if you think he goes out there and he starches Makhachev, gets him out of there, they're looking for title challengers for him, and Makhachev maybe has an injury or something, isn't going to get the immediate rematch. Gamrot's probably only then a 1 win away instead of being 2. You know what I mean? Or instead of being 3. 1 good win and having a win over the champ certainly goes a long way. So, yeah, I would say Gamrot, there's some pros and the cons there. You sort of have to draw up your path to victory. But I think BSD too is probably a lot closer. So, yeah, maybe those are the 2 best mid-lane. What do you think about Moicano?
Yeah, he's definitely on a run, and he has a top fight already booked, which is a plus as well, because a lot of times this comes down to logistics and whether guys can get enough fights in to get into the title shot.
And
so,
he's
he's
running his
Moicano
mouth like a pro right now, too. You know,
and he
so
probably is he favored over Beneil Dariush. I think I would pick him.
Imagine who would pick Beneil Dariush in 2025? Like nobody's still picking that guy, right?
Minus 198. So about 2-1. So Moicano is probably a decent pick if you want to go take a swing on a bigger one for sure, because he's on a roll. He's exciting, and
if he was 50-1, I would definitely be on him. Like if we were talking about him at the same numbers as we were just talking about for BSD or Gamrot, like I would be like, yeah, Moicano's the mid-range one. 20-1, like that's it almost seems, like you could probably double down on a couple of bets on him and get in a better place than that. But like, yeah, maybe Moicano, maybe BSD, maybe Gamrot. That mid-tier sucks is the bottom line. There's nothing good going on in that mid-tier.
Yeah, I would take Moicano over BSD because he's beaten him already. He TKO'd him. He TKO'd Jalen Turner, and then we're predicting he's going to beat Beneil Dariush next. So
Turner's 70-1 too. Also, kind of a bummer that it wasn't higher. Like I was like, if he winds up being one of those ones that's like 200-1, and if you've been listening to our rundowns of these divisions, like go back and listen. Like there's some halfway decent 200-1s. If Turner was one of those like 150, 200 ones, I could see arguing that, right? Like he barely lost to Dan Hooker. Like he had that weird fight with Moicano where like he probably should have won that fight. Like maybe, but again, the number just kind of is too low for me to be really intrigued by it. So yeah, not a lot in the middle tier.
What about Paddy Pimblett at 100-1? Who's he fighting next? First of all, he's 6-0 in the UFC. So
if you listen to that weird joke account on Twitter, he's fighting everybody soon. I don't know if you saw that. He retweeted this, like, I'm not even going to mention the name because I don't want to give him publicity. He mentioned this like terrible joke account who has him fighting BSD, Michael Chandler, and somebody else all in one night. He's confirmed to fight all of them in London, and then he's just going to delete 2 out of the 3 once he actually gets booked. So no, I'd stay away from that.
Who would you book him with next?
I mean, I like him against Chandler. Chandler looks like crap right lately, and I don't mean that like, first of all, I'm not a Michael Chandler fan, but like, everybody keeps talking about those slams he had in the Charles Oliveira fight. He was getting rear naked choked in those moments. Like those aren't good moments. And even if you said that those slams won him whatever time he was in, right? Like if he won those, what was it, 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds? Those are the only 45 seconds of that fight he won.
Yeah.
Right? Like at the most, those are the 45 seconds of the fight he won. So for me, like, I mean, like, there's a reason Michael Chandler is plus 150 versus, like a Paddy Pimblett. My only problem with that is that there's a fight card in London in March.
Yep.
And Michael Chandler basically just said he was going to wait 6 months to see if he could fight Conor McGregor.
Oh, okay.
There's like a tweet or an Instagram post or something that he says, it's not all that important to me, but I'm going to wait 6 months and see if he.
Yeah. After I waited 2 years or whatever it was.
Yeah. And like, look, the dude's made his money already, but like,
yeah.
He should be fighting a Paddy Pimblett right now. We should be able to see if Paddy Pimblett's for real with a Michael Chandler fight right now.
So is the London card, is it March. A fight night? A fight night card or pay-per-view?
I believe so.
All right. You believe so. I asked both. Fight night is what you're thinking it is?
I think it's a fight night, yes.
Okay. All right. Pimblett in the main event. If it's not Michael Chandler, who are you booking with? I'm putting you on the spot again because you're a big Paddy Pimblett fan. So any ideas?
I'm gonna give you 3 names. Okay. I'd like to see him against Gamera.
Yep.
I'd like to see him against BSD.
Gamera's already fighting, but yep.
But like he could win and be ready to go again.
Maybe.
He's fighting in January, right?
Yeah.
That's 2 months.
Yeah, that's true.
And you tell me he gets a headliner against a guy with a big name?
Yeah. And I think BSD would make sense, probably, yeah.
What about France? What do you think about Chase Hooper?
I don't think he's ready. What do you think about main event yet, but it would be fun. I'd like to see that.
Would you, honest, and this is coming from somebody who just picked Clay Guida to beat him. Do you not think Chase Hooper could beat Paddy Pimblett?
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing. Anyone could beat Paddy Pimblett, but he keeps beating people, so we have to, I guess, respect him eventually.
But that's the same thing with Chase Hooper. Am I wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it feels like anybody with a right hand and a good takedown defense could beat Chase Hooper, and then here it is. Chase Hooper somehow has judo throws. And Chase Hooper at 80-1. UFC might like Chase Hooper. That guy's weird and goofy and does funny interviews. Maybe Chase Hooper.
There's no real path unless it's like an emergency last minute type of thing and they step in the night.
I don't know. What if he fought Paddy Pimblett in London in March in a main event? You turn him around in August. You let him fight Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje comes back and he wants to fight Chase Hooper. Those 2 wins, and then you give me a December title fight for Chase Hooper.
All right, I'm sold.
80-1.
I'm sold.
You might be able to do worse at 80-1.
All right, before we get really crazy, let me tell you about MyBookie. I think we already went crazy, but we're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie has been running on SGPN for years. Check out the new and improved website. It's great on mobile, plus props for every game and the live dealer casino. Even new early cash out options are available. Check out all the MMA lines there. I'm sure they will have some futures if they don't already. Head to MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. And SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds, get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build you a model. You can now track your props in the Rhythm app. NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, and NBA. Rhythm has it all. Check out the Al Horford player props. Naturally, I think he hit 4 threes the other night when you were texting me, Gumby, about
the first 2 made baskets of the day were Al Horford threes, and his higher than was 1.5.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. He hit 4. So check out all those props, of course, and you can track them too at Rhythm. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Do we really need to get crazy with this division? Is
we gotta go to.
Is it really a path for it?
I just told the people 5 minutes ago the long shots are better than the mid.
Oh, that's true. All right, so we're going 500 or like 50,000 or higher.
I think we said 150 to 1 or better.
Okay.
So like just
past Chandler upwards then.
The Chandler upward range. Yeah, not Paddy Pimblett, not Volkanovski, by the way, 100-1.
Mm-hmm.
He's not getting a title shot in that division. He keeps getting knocked out.
Yeah, that'll stop you.
That'll stop you.
Gregory Gillespie is on this list. The fisherman.
What is his number?
50,000, so 500.
Fun fact: I texted him recently and asked him what he's doing. No response.
Was he on a boat?
No response.
He was on a boat. No reception.
Just
Yeah,
figured
it
I'd let you know.
sucks. It's weird that he's not. It's too bad that he's not more into the sport because he was fun.
I think
and
he
had
just has
potential.
I think he has a higher opinion of how good he is as a fighter than
Yeah.
the UFC did.
Could be.
And then that clash just ended his career basically. It's weird. All right, so obviously you're not taking Gregor Gillespie.
No, Tony Ferguson is not the biggest long shot. Claudio Puelles is twice the long shot that Tony Ferguson is.
2,000-1 on Puelles.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yes, and 1,000-1 on.
What do you think? How do you think? By the way, so 1,000-1 on Tony Ferguson, not good money. I will tell you, Carlos Diego Ferreira at 1,000.
That's one that just jumped out at me. Yeah,
that's a way better line than people realize. 2-fight winning streak, finishes in both the 2 fights. He's got a fight
booked already.
He's got a fight booked for the pay-per-view on 3/11 against Grant Dawson, which, by the way, if he were to beat Grant Dawson, if you were to finish him, 3 straight finish props, at least two bonuses, and beat Grant Dawson.
And the last person that lost to Gregor Gillespie too, to wrap it all up, bring it all together. So yeah. I don't mind that one.
It may or may not be on a future episode of Top Turtle MMA podcast too.
CDF is? Gillespie would be fun if he was. I don't mind that one. Is that going to be our official pick though? Let me see.
I have one I like better. Do you want me to lead off while you're digging?
Is it Bahamondes? I'm just going through names here. No,
God.
No. Is it Mark Diakese? Who's
how could
not even the UFC?
Yeah, is he at that stupid GFL that nobody knows how it works?
Oh, maybe he's only at 70,000. Is it Mark Madsen? Didn't he retire?
Marco Madsen's gone. Yeah,
yeah.
Don't forget the O.
70,000.
No, yes. How are we not on Yoel Alvarez at 250-1?
Yeah, he's just
that dude is obliterating people.
Right, I'm putting it down, Gumby. That's our pick.
Joel Alvarez has got to be the long shot pick. Like, that guy has done nothing in the last few fights other than look. I mean, his last fight, he guillotine choked and TKO'd Drakkar Klose at the same exact time, which is really impressive. I've never seen somebody hit a TKO and a sub at the same time. 250-1 coming off of that kind of win, and he's massive for the division. We mentioned all the wrestlers that are in this division and stuff like that. You're going to fight all those wrestlers. Like, you're going to want a guy who's got nasty sub skills. Like, I think he makes a lot of sense.
We're probably a year or two early on that one, but you never know.
I don't know.
A lot of things would have to fall into place.
Yeah. Here's another one I'll throw out there too. How about Matthews Rambecki? Clearly we're stretching here, but 700-1 on Matthews Rambecki. He just beat Mike Tibeko in that absolute slobber knocker fight of the year. I don't think he'll fight enough to even come close to sniffing a title shot. And he had lost a fight before that, so like he needs to really put together a run. He might be a guy we're definitely like a year or two away from, but like if his cardio is good, it seems like he could beat everybody. I mean, he had a fun grappling match with Gamrot. There's lots of things he could do that could, potentially mess up this division. But yeah, I would say if I had to go one long shot bet, Yoel Alvarez is my pick.
Okay, what if you had to buy a futures in someone, a future pick on, we'll say, a fighter under 30 in the division?
Is Alvarez not under 30?
No, he's 31. Yeah.
I got to pick somebody under 30.
Yeah. Pimblett, Peak. Let me see who else we got that's good. Ludovic Klein. Who else is
Klein? Oh yeah, Klein's in that division.
Jalen Turner, Hawk Press.
And are we talking about future for 2025 or like if I could just own stock in somebody
just
forever?
Who are you most excited about in the division? BSD, Jordan Vucenic. There's a few people.
Chase Hooper. I'm going to say Chase Hooper.
Armin Sarukian as well. Armin Sarukian only 28. So Hooper's
I'm going to like eat my own words here because I did say he was going to lose to Clay Guida, but like the judo throws and all he's added to his game, like I think you have to respect what he's doing right now. Yeah. Clearly came to the UFC too early. It has sort of figured it out since then. Got a good head on his shoulders, super smart guy, working with Mikey Musumeci. I would say I would want stock in Chase Hooper.
Yeah, 7-3 already in the UFC, and he's 25 years old, which is
that's
insane.
crazy.
like you can add up all the other fighters around, all the other 25-year-olds. You can add up all their wins, and they don't hit 7. So it's insane. Tom Nolan, you like him? He's 2-1, 24.
Chinny.
Yeah,
And
he's going to test that chin next fight.
Fight super upright.
So yeah. Gumby does not like people who stand super upright. Yeah, Hooper's probably going because he's got the personality, and like you said, he seems to be getting better. With every fight. So yeah,
that's all you want from a young guy.
Yeah. Yep. All right, there you go. You're all set. You are all set for lightweight. So hang out in the Discord if you're not already. We were in there chatting Octagon today. It was fun times. sportsgamblingpockets.com/Discord. Of course, YouTube. Thank you everyone who is in there. Watching our stuff, subscribing, most importantly to our stuff, commenting your stuff, MMA Gambling Podcast on YouTube, SGPN MMA on Twitter. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm Jeff Fox, writer there. I got a Substack. I got a whole bunch of people subscribing still. I don't know if they're bots or not because they're not actually paying me. They're doing free subscriptions. But if you're not a bot, you can subscribe. Even if you are a bot, subscribe. moneymma.substack.com. Gumby has the Top Total MMA podcast, which we told you off the top is no longer cursed. So you can listen to it without worrying about fighters being cursed. And do we know who's on this week, or are we too early in the week for that?
I actually might be doing an off week for the first week in a long time. But I will tell you, there's a bunch in the can for the coming weeks. We got Jose Johnson, who's going to be fighting on the first card of the year. We've got Furkatbek Yokubov, who is, he told me 90% certain he will be on the Ultimate Fighter this year. And then I've also got that Carlos Diego Fajeda interview coming, possibly touching base with Cecilia Bolander after her win. There's a lot of good stuff in the works.
Good. Speaking of lightweights, we're wrapping it up. Donald Cerrone is back in the testing pool, but he's going to be a middleweight now. So
middleweight?
Steroids work, ladies and gentlemen.
Middleweight?
That's what the headline.
He's gonna die up there, and middleweight sucks.
Yeah, he was at welterweight originally, but yeah, he should not be coming back.
He was at lightweight originally, and he was
originally, but then
too.
But then when you left, he was what? He was welterweight, I think, when he retired. Was he not retired, quote unquote? Anyhow,
he was for that terrible Conor McGregor fight.
Yep. Don't come back. That's why everyone's doing the shoulder strikes. It was because of that fight, right? That was the fight that Conor brought up the shoulder strikes, right?
That's
when he was clinching. I think that, yeah, great. And of course, we are at sportsgamblingpockets.com, sportsgamblingpockets.com/store, sportsgamblingpockets.com/Patreon, and of course, our app. Don't forget about our app. We'll be back tomorrow. We are moving on to the welterweights. It'll be a haka like Keats, Jeff Fox, notorious Gumby Vreeland. We'll talk to you tomorrow.